This meeting to order. It's the July 20th, 2021 Newburyport Conservation Commission meeting taking place on the Zoom platform, and this meeting is being recorded. First item on the agenda are the July 7th, 2021 minutes. Anybody have any changes?
The only thing I was going to suggest was it seems like the paging on these minutes seems to get mixed up. Page 1 of 2, there's one page, and at the bottom.
Oh, well, it's page 1 of 4, page 2 of 4, page 3 of 4.
Must be the way
Except for
I'm
these.
reading it on my screen here without printing it. I bet that's what it is. I take that comment totally back.
Okay. No, Gretchen had her Gretchen unmuted for that one, David.
Yeah.
I know, because it comes up sometimes and it's not on my end.
Yeah, I remember paging was always a problem.
Might have to do with the program you're using, whatever the software is or not.
Under open space management, I also met with that representative from land stewardship.
You did.
Yep, it's to be Julia, Joe, and Steve.
Okay, sorry.
All right, we got anything else?
No.
Get a motion?
Motion to approve as amended?
Second?
All right, roll call. Paul Healy,
Yes.
Steve Moore,
Yes.
David Vine,
Yes.
Ron DeCola,
Yes.
Carol Wagon,
Yes.
and I vote yes. I don't think Dan is here. He's not. All right. So do we have any Plum Island updates, Julie?
We do not really have any Plum Island updates other than things are moving forward in all of those areas. In terms of permitting, the Conservation Commission issued orders of conditions for both the Coir envelope project on Reservation Terrace and the placement of the dredged material from the Army Corps dredging of the river. Both of those have gone out and are approved and in the hands of the applicants, which is DCR in both cases. And I believe they've also received their other permits, if not all, then nearly all, or that's nearly complete as well. So things are on target for them to dredge starting in what they said was that they're hoping to go out to bid in July, end of July, for a bid opening in September and bid opening and award in September, which would mean that they could start in the fall. I don't know how fast they mobilize after they award the contract, but everything seems to be on target. So
Wondering if there was any damage the other day from that big storm, the big deluge.
which big deluge?
Yeah.
Anyone.
Honestly.
The tropical storm?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was out there last week, about midweek, Tuesday or Wednesday, and it's definitely worse. It's getting worse. It seems like it just continues to erode out there and suffer storm damage and damage from high tide and wave action. So there was a lot of sand in the street after that big storm that they were moving out. They had some equipment out there moving the sand back off the street, which doesn't even look like the same street anymore. So yeah, this summer has, historically summer has been a time when the beach accretes sand and, you don't get many storms, and so things kind of settle down a little bit. But I think at the stage that this particular beach and dune is at is just not that situation anymore.
Thank you.
Okay. All set with that?
Anyone else?
Okay. In that case, we have no certificates of compliance, etc. So can I get a motion to open the public hearings?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So the first item is Lorraine and Michael Riley to Spofford Street. They have requested a continuance next meeting. And there's Tom Hughes.
So the next meeting would be August 3rd.
Right. We
Motion to
expect to
continue
have the
to August 3rd.
calculations. We expect to have calculations this week on that.
Okay.
Yeah, so Tom, actually, it'd be helpful if you're doing those calculations. I know you're giving us the sort of additional square footage of impervious, et cetera, but
Right.
can would you mind giving me the total for the category for Riverfront, if that's the only category that's changed, to make sure, so my numbers are correct on the amended order
Yeah,
of conditions?
the reason it's taking so long is I'm having to break it all out by category the way we talked about it during the hearing last
Okay.
time. And also Millennium is really backed up with a ton of work. So we're just in queue.
Yep, no worries.
Thanks.
Okay, gonna get a motion.
Motion to continue.
Second.
Roll call, Paul Healy,
Yes.
Steve Moore,
Yes.
David Vine,
Yes,
Ron DeCola. Ron, was that a yes?
Yes, sorry.
Carol Wagon,
Yes.
and I say yes. All right, next one is George Hasseltine, Windward Shaw LLC, 357th Street, notice of intent. Continue.
George, Joe, for this one, just for the record, George Hazeltine's my neighbor.
Okay, as in the owner of the property, not, you don't live next to the property.
Correct.
If I can clarify, he's the contractor who will be doing the work
Okay,
and the applicant. So,
all
all
right.
right.
Thanks,
For
Tom.
the record, I'm Tom Hughes with Hughes Environmental Consulting. Julie, we submitted updated materials. Do you have that?
Yep.
Okay, you may recall there were a couple questions at the last meeting, mainly defining a real clear limit of what's going to be vegetated and what's not, and providing fence detail and clarifying the garage door, as well as dealing with some consistency issues between the patio and driveway areas on the landscape plan and on the site plan. So we have addressed all those. Everett also found an error in his calculations where he had used, if you remember from the last landscape plan, the patio size didn't line up with the patio size on the site plan. So he's corrected those numbers. So if we can zoom in on the table first, I think just to show you, we still have a good healthy increase in vegetation. We go from 770 square feet now to 946, which is the mandatory area that would be vegetated to show compliance. And then the rest of the numbers are correct. It turns out the client, the owners wanted pea stone for the patio and for the driveway. So we've updated that material on the site plan. If we can go down to the next page, which is the updated landscape plan, we also had the patio area match the site plan. We added the label 2.5 open bottom in that storage area under the shed. If we can go to the next page. Oh, and you can also, I'm sorry, on that last one, you can see the green area. That's the limit of what will be vegetated. So it's clear now. And then we just show the rest of the areas of sand. And if they want to put wispy dune grass in there, you know, for their own enjoyment, they can do that. Otherwise, it could be just left as sand and that'll be fine. The next page, we've adapted the fence plan. So it's now at least 50% open and it's completely open on the bottom part. So I think that would be fully compliant. The next one is an 8.5/11 scan because Brian Libby, who drew this, was in a location where he couldn't scan a full plan, but he labeled the garage doors open at the bottom 2.5 feet. on this one, and then on the next one, he labeled that area would be open at the bottom and says see landscape plan, if you see that note. And Julia, I did also email you, I don't know if you saw them, but the full-size sheets that these came from.
I got them. Yep.
Yeah, so
I-
just for the record, yeah. So if you have them, we could pull them up, but we don't, you know.
I don't know. When did you email me the full size sheet? I mean, I know
no,
you dropped
it's
off
just-
the hard copies, but
Yeah, so I didn't get those till over the weekend, and then yesterday was a crazy day, so I emailed them today, and it was probably after you'd gone. So,
yeah. Okay.
So it's just really for the record, because I know you don't like to get just little portions of a sheet. Everything else is as you saw it before.
And I got the hard copies. So
Yeah, so you've got hard copies of everything, not the full-size sheets, but I can drop those off hard copy too as well, just for the file. But I think we've addressed all the concerns and questions the commission had. If there's any questions I can answer, I'm happy to do so. Otherwise, I think, maybe we can all have an early night.
Did you get a DEP number for this?
Yes, there is a DEP file number, and they've not posted any comments.
yeah, the file's 05111053. Yeah, no comments.
We have any other questions or comments?
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Anything, Ron?
Nope, I'm good. Thanks.
All right, hearing none. Any comments from the public? Raise your hand if you want to speak. All right, I am not seeing any. What do we want to do?
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second,
Roll call, Paul Healy,
Yes.
Steve Moore,
Yes.
David Vine,
yes.
Ron DeCola,
Yes.
Carol Wagon. Is that a yes?
Yes, sorry.
And I vote yes. All right. Thank you, Tom.
All right, are you going right into issuance?
Sure. Let me just close the public hearings. Get a motion?
Motion to close the public hearings?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. All right, orders of conditions. We have one for 357th Street, George Hasseltine, Windward Shaw. You got any special?
There was this one special condition from last meeting that came up, and they put this detail on the plan. It was related to the garage doors, that they not extend all the way to the ground, but to 2 feet above grade. And so the applicant added that detail to the plans to show that they don't come down all the way. But I think despite that, we might just want to leave that in as a special condition, because we often see those garage doors down to the ground out there, and I just wouldn't want a contractor to get confused and not think that they had to modify that.
Okay. So it's gonna be that way anyway, so. Okay, I'm fine with it. Anybody else?
There are all the standard Plum Island conditions about only beach grade sand, no soils or mulches, only native species, et cetera, et cetera.
And the plantings as well, as far as coming in with that next year?
Monitoring 2 year, the standard, the condition that we typically put in is 2 years of monitoring and 90% coverage of the planted species when they apply for the certificate of compliance. That works.
Yeah, I was just thinking in this case, just to also tell us what the square footage is, just because even though, Tom, you did do it in green, it's still There's no dimensions or anything, so as long as you get the area, I would say.
That's a
Yeah,
good
the
point.
area is in the table on the civil plan, the total.
Right, and just as long as when you
Oh.
come back.
Oh, provide the area of vegetation. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so David, that's a really good point. Why don't I put a condition in that the total vegetated area on site must not be less than 946 square feet, something like that. Does that work for another special condition for you guys?
Sure.
If I may, you may just want to add that into your standard certificate of compliance as another bullet. I think you have like a bullet of what has to be included. The condition on. certificate of
I
compliance.
could put it in the special condition for the OOC.
Yeah, for the
Yeah.
COC, you
Okay.
normally say it has to have the letter and an
Yep.
as-built plan, and it like has like A, B, C, and D, I think.
Yep. All right, that's a great point. I'll add that into that condition.
Thank you.
Makes a lot of sense.
All right, we got anything else? Can I get a motion?
Motion to issue the order conditions for 557th Street.
Second,
All right, roll call. Paul Healy,
yes.
Steve Moore,
Yes.
David Vine,
Yes,
Ron DeCola,
Yes.
Carol Wagon,
Yes,
and I vote yes. All
Thank
right.
you very much.
Thank
Have a
you,
great
Tom.
night.
You too.
And I think this was a record.
I'm thinking you're right.
It's there. It's close.
Don't jinx us.
All right, take care. Have a
Thank you
great
to the
night.
commission. Appreciate
All
it.
right. All right. Regarding enforcement violations, Steve and I still have to get the mayor a list of issues regarding the old roadbed, the Gloria Brownhart Trail. Julie, was there a list of issues in the whatchamacallit?
Violation.
Violation notice?
Yeah, how about I'll just send you the violation notice, and if you two want to add anything to that, let me know, and we'll make a bulleted list
Okay,
and to send to Donna.
okay.
That sound good? Okay.
Yep. All right, from that, we'll go to continuation of old and new business.
Okay, there's just one thing on the old business end for Evergreen. There's a Pollinator Meadow out there. It had a tough time establishing last year because of the drought, and they got it reestablished fairly well this year, over the course of the year, and everything was growing in a lovely way. Tom might want to talk a little bit more about this. If he's still here, he can raise his hand. But Tom sent me some photos and gave me the heads up that the homeowners associations in some way or another directed the landscapers to mow the entire, or not the entire, but a great portion of the Pollinator Meadow and one of the rain gardens, just mow it completely, including all the newly growing Pollinator Meadow plants and even some of the shrubs, really everything. And because the ground was so wet, it's all rutted. It's just a giant mess. So Tom sent some over some aerial photography, and the applicant, the developer is not happy about
Tom's
it.
hand is up, Julie.
Okay, so I'll let Tom speak. Hold on a sec. Here you go, Tom. If you want to say anything, go right ahead. Otherwise, I can just I was just going to let the commission know that you're meeting with the homeowners association about it. I'm assuming this week, And that
Yeah.
we're meeting about it on site on Thursday afternoon.
Right. I mean, all we know is we showed up and a huge amount of the area had been mowed, and I captured in last week's report. And the developer's been in touch with the HOA. We're trying to set up a meeting with the HOA, which is, we don't even have a real proposed date for that yet. It's a lot of emails back and forth. We're meeting on site, and, we need to basically evaluate, what this really means. And ultimately, what I think we're going to end up having to do is compare the species that are still alive in the mowed area with the species that are in the area that we seeded, doing some data plots and see what was damaged and what wasn't. And maybe we dodged a bullet, but I'm not really very happy about it. The rain gardens are fixable. They mowed through stuff. It means we just have to replace what they mowed through, and we're going to consult with our engineer and with everybody on that. But it was just kind of shocking after we went through the whole minor revision process, and everybody saw the maintenance plan, and we talked in detail about that.
This is what I worry about in terms of moving forward, because you just talked to these people. These are the same people who just moved in and should be highly aware of all this. Years from now, new people on the homeowners association. I think the city is just going to really need to be on top of what's going on out there. And unfortunately,
I suspect the end result of this long-term might be beneficial in that it sharpens the awareness of the HOA in a way that it becomes institutional memory.
I hope so. I hope that happens if
I'm
HOAs
trying to be
operate that way.
Trying to be the optimist, but this was 3 years we've been trying to get this thing going, and it really is beautiful. And you can, if you go out there and you look at the uncut section, you can tell how amazing it's going to be. And I just am hoping, I spent an hour on the phone today with the seed people, and, got all basically the canary in the coal mine plants to look for. And if they're still alive, then but anyhow.
So you don't have to go in and wholesale replant everything if you can.
We don't know. Yeah. I mean, and we may have to overseed with certain species. Before we come up with any kind of solution, we need to define the problem more clearly than just they mowed it all. So that's, anyhow, I wasn't really prepared to go through this tonight, but
we don't have to, but I did, because we haven't even been on site to meet about it, but I wanted to let the commission know as soon as possible, what was going on in case anyone's out there and takes a look at it. But
I mean, it's a setback, but it's not, I don't think it's a death blow or anything, but
no,
it's a setback.
But they need to know, and it's fortunate right now that the developer is still on site, and this is still under an open order conditions and all that. But in the future, the homeowners association should know that would be a violation of the conservation restriction, which is not a small deal. So there would be consequences for them with that. And I just hope, that should be reinforced. And at the same time, I think, like I sent you an email today, maybe something that would help them and the residents, along with the landscaper, whoever gets hired, is because I know the signage, the public education signage isn't installed yet. And it's, that's really nice signage that you developed, a really great education for things like the Pollinator Meadow and the wetland and all that. But if there could be a new sign or an additional sign that shows a map or like a plan of the development, or even of just the open space area that outlines where those are, then that's also institutionalized and no one can, it's public.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, we can discuss further. I mean, I think all the signs but one are ordered and on site. They're just, and we've survey located where they're going, and it's just, they're in process of being installed. So it's a little bit late to add one in, but I think, look, let's figure out exactly what happened, how bad the damage is, and maybe it might be appropriate for the commission to send correspondence so that, it's well documented. But at this point, it's a little early. And again, let's get everybody together and figure out, not just what happened and point fingers at who's to blame, but also figure, what the end result is and what we have to do to get it back. It was depressing for me because I was just really proud of how that thing was coming along, and to have it set back like this is,
How is
It's
the
one-
scope for the contractor, for the landscape contractor defined? Do they have the documents and everything else? I mean,
they have all that stuff. There's a management company that has all the documents, and they hire the people who maintain it. And unfortunately, it's a different company than the one who's doing the establishment stuff. So, and they really had no business being out there at all with a mower.
well, that's what I'm getting at is that, I mean, the contractor, sometimes that doesn't communicate down to the guy that's running the tractor or whatever. And
Yeah, but this is what gets me. It's acres and acres. It's not. I mean, it's not like you just. I could see if he mowed an extra lawn, but like,
Acres, yeah.
we've got drone photos of the whole thing. I sent a couple of those that were. I had him do some straight down, so you can actually compare it to the plan. You can look
And
at it, and it's got the
wasn't
pathways
even,
in it.
yeah, it's so rutted. It wasn't even appropriate just based on soil conditions for them.
Yeah,
to
it
be
was
out
it was
there.
a horrible day to decide to mow that. Yeah. Yeah, it was right after we got 4 inches of rain. Sometime between my post-rain inspection that occurred on that site and the following inspection, this happened, and it must have been on a day when nobody really noticed what they were doing, and just anyway. So
Tom, do you think it was last week that they did it?
oh yeah, no, it was
Yeah.
between my inspection was Thursday, the
Yeah.
prior inspection was Saturday, I think.
Okay,
So-
because I was out there actually. I did a drive-by last week, probably also on Tuesday or Wednesday, and I was checking to see just if the drainage was working because it had been raining so much, and I
Right.
saw a little bit of the washout on the path, but I did not notice that. So I'm glad
So
to know
probably
that.
it was probably Wednesday. I don't know. By the way, the drainage worked perfectly. 4 inches of
Yeah.
rain. I mean,
Totally.
so 4 inches of rain and the elevation, based on my observations, I didn't actually have a measurement on it before and after, but based on my observations of where I saw the water table in the wetland before and after that 4 inches of rain, it went up less than a foot. So if you figure ILSF is basically double that rainstorm,
Yeah.
and that was in a short duration too. So that's really encouraging that our calculations are extra conservative.
Mhm.
So I think that's a good sign. I mean,
Yeah, especially since the soil was already wet and the water table was probably already high.
Yeah.
I do think that was an encouraging sign.
right, absolutely. So there's a lot of good stuff, and maybe this isn't as bad as it looks, but it sure as heck is a shocker. So, yeah. So I will see you out there on Thursday, and we'll, if I learn anything that's significant in the meantime, I'll let you know.
Has anything happened in terms of the land that's supposed to be designated for the city?
There's a meeting with the
Okay.
city, I think, happening the same day. So we're, piggybacking on that. That's at 3, and we're meeting at 3:30 right after.
Because I would think that what happened with this is it speaks to the need to make sure that that area that belongs to the city is fenced off and clearly marked.
Yeah, that's all part of their meeting on Thursday. I think that's moving forward. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Tom, do you know what their reason for mowing the field was?
no clue. People saying they didn't direct them to do it. I just don't know. We don't know enough right now. And the fact is they did it. And the thing that's silly is that mowing the rain gardens, I don't believe is part of the O&M plan for the rain gardens, right? It's like weed and refresh and mulch and replace plantings. So
Do they mow all the rain gardens or just that one?
they mowed all of them. Only in a couple were they discerning on where within the rain garden they mowed. And they also mowed into some of the Phragmites that we had yet to remove. We'd removed a lot of the Phragmites, but the Phragmites, we ended up finding it in 4 of the 5 rain gardens, and we were in the process of pulling it. And by cutting it, now we can't pull it because you can't see it.
Right. So it's going to come back stronger next year too.
Well, that's got to be part of our solution to this whole thing, is how we deal with it.
I hope the landscaper is going to pay for all this.
But again, I don't want to get into pointing fingers. I just want to find the right solution and figure out the path forward to get all this stuff fixed. So,
Yeah. All right. Well, all right. Just keep us up to date and we'll talk on Thursday.
yeah. All right, cool. All right, thanks. Take care, guys, and have a great night. And I still think it's record time. So,
Yeah.
all right, bye.
Yeah. I did see a landscape truck with sod driving down Boyd Drive yesterday or the day before. Don't know where they're going, but probably there somewhere. So, and the other thing, Julie, you want to tell folks about your email today?
Yeah. Of course, now off the top of my head, I can't remember the name of the company or the firm, but
Give me a second. Forestry Consulting Services.
Forestry. Okay. So, I got an email this afternoon from an outfit called Forestry Consulting Services, located in Central Mass. And it was like one of these sort of, reaching out in case you need our services, sort of marketing emails, offering services of conservation restriction monitoring and oversight, baseline reporting, inventorying, that kind of thing. Forestry Services. We don't do a lot of forest management in Newburyport, but we do have a city forest, part of our open space network. And they also do trails management, trails maintenance, mapping, and all that kind of thing. So it just sort of popped up right in the midst of when we are hunting for somebody to take on this type of work for us in Newburyport. And we've been talking with Land Stewardship Inc. and they're putting together a proposal for us. We don't know what kind of price that's going to involve yet, but it's just nice to know that there's someone else out there who would also be able to do it. And so I'm going to send them the same scope of work that we sent to Land Stewardship and see if they're interested, and maybe just have a conversation with them too. So it's great.
Yeah, that would be a good thing. Do we have anything else?
Yeah, Julia, have you heard anything from our favorite Harbour Master?
I emailed him last week, but late last week, right before I left on vacation, and I have not heard back yet. So I can just remind him again. I know he's busy. Obviously, it's summer and the big boats docked in there, but I did say that we needed an update on the status of elevation of the Harbour Master shed at the parking lot, and it has not been elevated according to the approved plans yet. So please get back to me ASAP.
He should be able to multitask.
Can I ask, has anybody heard anything more with regard to the alleged 40B housing proposal?
We had a staff meeting last week and I asked about that. And they're really, we just don't know. It's right now, there's no purchase and sale. There's no contract for the land from CARP selling it to this Avalon group. So that hasn't taken place yet. But it is clear that they're talking about 40B development. But that's really all we know is in terms of what I've been able to get out of Andy Port, planning director. It's not really like they're keeping the city in the loop really closely. They never really have.
Yeah, usually with a 40B, they'll send the 40B company in representing like the landowner and to negotiate.
I mean, hopefully they don't really want to do a 40B. Hopefully they just kind of using that again, like as a negotiation tool, but you never know.
Yeah, and 40Bs also come in heavy too, hot and heavy. Well, the 5-story thing and all that. Generally they come in at the far high end and work their way back, so they look like they're working with the city. So
We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
That
If I
would-
learn
that would
any,
make
if I
our-
learn anything else, I'll let you know.
Okay. Yeah, it actually would make our job easier because we wouldn't have to enforce the wetlands ordinance.
It would,
Hmm?
it would make it easier, but
Yeah, no, for us, it would make it easier since
Right.
it seemed like we were gonna be the tip of the spear with all that, but
well, we would still have to permit it. We'd still have to issue an order of conditions. Yeah.
but it would just be based on the state Wetlands Protection Act. So. All right,
I have one question, Julia, that's been kicking around that area that was on the rail trail near the American Yacht Club where the outfall is, that they were supposed to vegetate and then they put stone down, then they were supposed to improve the stone and they
Oh,
came.
over the National Grid.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
um,
right. We asked them about that and that was a few months ago.
Yeah, the whole thing's been going on for quite a while. I don't
Yeah.
know.
She said she was gonna get me an update and I never got anything back from them. Is it? right,
All
let
you
me go
see
back
is a
and
bunch
check.
of burnt out plants and, weeds and so forth, from what I
Yeah.
can see.
Yep. Okay. I'll look back at the email that I sent to her and see if there was any follow-up. I don't remember hearing back, so I'll check on that.
all right, we have anything else?
Yeah. I hate
Oh,
to
come on,
drive.
Steve. I've made it this far.
I drove down Colby Farm Lane this morning, and they've started construction on the other part of the development across the street. And the contractor's vehicles are parking on the path that they put in.
Oh.
So,
The path up on the other development?
yes,
So they're parking on the left side of the road, if you're heading in there, to
Yep.
do the work on the right side of the road.
Yep.
And they're parking on the pathway.
they're parking, yeah, there were two vehicles parked on it this morning.
Well, that's pathway is like immediately adjacent to the wetland area.
Yes.
Okay, so that's not gonna fly. Okay, I will get in touch with them right away. I'll call them tomorrow. I have their number.
And do we own that land yet, or?
It's not done yet. It's not a done deal yet, but close.
Okay.
Patience, Steve, patience.
I'm not.
I know.
How much development is going on the other side of the road?
Oh, they've been pounding rocks and they've got, I don't know, 3 or 4 foundations in.
But is it going to be the same size as the development on the left when you're going down?
I think it's a bit smaller. There's not as many units.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot fewer units.
I think it's 8 units as opposed to 15.
Yeah.
Now they need to put a light in at the end of the road. That would work for you, Steve.
It would make it a lot easier to get into the stump dump.
Yeah.
That's the yard waste facility, thank you.
Yeah, whatever.
All right. Anything else, Steve?
Motion to adjourn?
Good one.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Opposed? Good night, all.
Good night.
Good luck, Joe.
wait.